Hi, I'm Carol Haney with Harris Interactive, and today I would like to talk about panel-based social media research. I'd like to take you through a technique that we've created at Harris that we find helps us do better and faster research. We'll talk about that technique and then walk through a case study of how it works. The research is for a beauty care product, but the technique is applicable to other areas and especially supportive of social research considerations, such as subject-based considerations like health studies for federal government or Bureau of Labor economic data. In the last 10 years or so, a profound paradigm shift has taken place with the advent of Web 2.0. 2.0 is the user-centric interactive medium where we all can meet in real time and in any place we can be in. Because of this ubiquity of conversation anywhere and everywhere, the online individual is in the driver's seat in terms of giving and asking advice and deciding what's important to the individual. Here we see some stats on how many folks online turn to social media when making purchase decisions. Online, people are using their personal networks, and because of the way the networks overlap, they're also using corporate-sponsored networks to make purchasing decisions. So these are the categories here. And then here is the growth and size of brand Facebook microsites. And the increase, this is the daily increase and this is the total. The increase is just exponential. And Coca-Cola isn't actually at the top of the leaderboard. Coca-Cola, I think, is 8th or 9th today. So on research that Harris Interactive did earlier, looking at the topic of online dating, we see that with social media data, we see that 27% of the folks give advice on online dating, whereas only 8% directly ask for it. But there is an enormous amount of advice being given online. You know, we recruited a panel of 31,000 people who've allowed us to listen to their conversations on social networking channels. This is important to panel-based social media research. So we recruited them, and then they allow us to listen into them on their social media activities. Because we know the individual who is part of the panel, we find that out when we recruit them, we screen them, we're able to link all of their social media data back to the individual. Another important part of the recruitment process, when we recruit the panelist, that panelist friends us on their social networks so that we can listen to what they say and when they say it and capture that full conversation. We capture the full conversation that their security rights allow us to see, so they're in control of that. We capture the posts, brand postings, comments, liking, fan page posting, and are able to relate it back to the individual demographics of those who are talking. And then, because we know these demographics, we're able to weight the panel to be representative of the U.S. online population, and we take into consideration the many different demographics we know about our panelists. Last month at Harris, we ran a study, yet unpublished, that determined the number of people who use social media in the U.S. And how they're using social media to interact with brands. And what's astounding is of the 80% of adults online in the U.S., 82% of them use social media, and 75% of them are active users of Facebook. That number is just astounding. 21% have posted about a brand one or more times, and 36% have posted comments directly on a Facebook brand page. That's that network overlap I was talking about before. When people talk, where people talk makes a difference. So let's talk about that network overlap with a microsite, a corporate Facebook site, and folks posting on their internal website, on their internal Facebook site. When they talk on a corporate microsite, what is discussed can be different. Here on the fan site, we see discussions of travel reward programs. Right here, within our panel-based listening, you know, which seats they are. Makes it to the top 10 of all discussions. How the scraping of the listening also changes direction. of the conversation. So where you scrape is important. So for example, we were told by a major distributor that Diet Coke Love It Like campaign was a huge success. Everyone's talking about it online. If you did a scrape using a system-wide listening tool, it is true. You pick up on a lot of blog posts, etc., all talking about Diet Coke Love It Like. But if you actually really listen to just consumers or just individuals having conversations, no one. Over 26 million posts, no one actually used the term Diet Coke Love It Light. They say Diet Coke, and you can see some threads of the Diet Coke Love It Light campaign come into their conversations, but it wasn't being picked up the way they thought it was because they were really listening to the paid media online and actually their own marketing. So it's kind of like navel gazing, but they didn't know they were doing it. So now I'm going to talk about a really quick case study. Our case study is a real one based on a client who wanted to do a new shampoo concept based around organics for the Super Hair brand. And this is a real study, but we've changed some of the facts and figures and also the name of the client to, to protect the innocent and then also to protect our client. The target audience, Super Hair came to us and said their target audience would be 18 to 24-year-old females with incomes of $35,000 and above. Our technique has 3 steps. First, a listening discovery, looking at the concepts within our data set. Then we did a qualitative exercise, and actually we did a couple of qualitative exercises, but for this simplified example, let's just say it was a qualitative focus group, to do a deep dive both on the organics term and then other findings that we learned from our social media research discovery. And then step 3, we did a listening validation on the qualitative findings. And what I'd like to show with this case study is the difference that you'll see in the types of conversations, what we call the raw, honest truth, that we're getting from listening to individuals talk with one another online without the screen of non-consumer-based discussions going on in social media. So within the panel-based listening, we looked at first, when we did the first step, we looked at who is talking about organics in conjunction with hair products, and organics and any other beauty product and Super Hair in any way. What we found was that organics had both positive and some negative sentiment, irrespective of age, but higher, actually, sentiment by the 18 and 24-year-olds. We also saw that there was this dominated by conversations online by 25 to 34-year-olds, and those who discussed Super Hair were wealthier than expected. So here's some raw, honest truth. In this conversation, we see the references of brands juxtaposed with one another, a commentary on the use of the word organic, and a comment on the effectiveness of one word, but the smell is horrible. This kind of conversation back and forth, real time, about somebody experiencing a negative effect of using a product is not something that you would be able to pull up in a focus group. And then in this instance, we say, we listened to this conversation and they used organic he woman who handles cow manure all day. In a qualitative focus group, we asked, how does the word organic related to your feelings about this hair product? And there were lukewarm responses. If it's okay, but it doesn't really make me want to buy it, we're pretty unanimous. But here we have a much more raw, honest truth. In this example, I'm also just showing you that we can pull out, doing frequency analysis, term frequency and verse document frequency analysis is important to understand the categories of how people are using different terms. And what you're searching on is quite important. We're also able to do with the data, as all social media researchers, look at sentiment, positive, negative, and neutral, with the caveat that this is directional only, and then running against an emotional model. During the qualitative research, we were able, in step 2, to get deep dives on the new concepts, such as great hair day or look and feel good, with this kind of conversation being, a narrative being recorded. It's a different kind of narrative than you would find in social media data. It's more focused, it's more specific on task, and it goes deep in. And then as we saw, the social media research conversations are more not as focused, a little bit more disjointed, but give another analysis to bear. So after we did the qualitative exercise, we then went back and did a validation of those findings. And during the qualitative exercise, we picked up new ideas, great hair days, good hair days. And then we went back into our social media research and looked at conversations of how those terms were being used, looked at the sentiment, looked at the frequencies, and we see that good hair day actually really is a way that people express themselves when they want to talk about a good shampoo. Well, thank you very much for allowing me to take this moment and explain to you some interesting concepts around social media research data.